We'll answer questions that you have. They all come from different industries, not just fishing, who all utilize this area. So I just wanted to acknowledge that for question time. Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Let me be clear right from the start. This is not just about the Marine Precinct. It's about much more. This is about transparency, accountability, and the future of our city. It's about whether the people of Tauranga can trust their elected representatives to protect their interests, or whether we're being left to foot the bill of bad decisions that benefit a select few at the expense of the people who call Tauranga home. Today we're here because this council made a decision behind closed doors, taking a strategic asset, the Marine Precinct, and downgrading it to a non-strategic asset. Then, suddenly, like magic, an unsolicited buyer appeared, offering a price far below its true value. And because of this reclassification, no public consultation was required. Even worse, this deal made it such a low price was hidden behind commercial sensitivity, so it didn't even go out for public tender. I've spoken to people both inside and outside this room who would have offered much more for this land. Years ago, we approached the council, including some of you here today, offering a cooperative solution to keep this asset in public hands for future generations, but those offers were ignored in this deal. To allow this sale to proceed under these circumstances at such an undervalued price is unconscionable. So let me break it down. You're selling 3 hectares of prime waterfront land for just $13 million and have signed ratepayers up to contribute $30 million to upgrade the infrastructure for a private venture. The public is paying while the private owner profits. Worse still, the private owner can charge whatever fees they like, meaning they can even price out the small businesses affected in this deal. And if his venture fails, well, your contract sides with the investor. He can sell the land for whatever price he wants, likely turning a profit, leaving Tauranga with nothing but debt and more rate rises. This isn't just a bad deal. It's a disaster waiting to happen. You've justified this by promising super yachts will bring in wealth, and based on pretty pictures and a vision someone is telling you, but the math doesn't add up. Even in the best case scenario, your own projections say that each super yacht visit contributes around $70,000 to $100,000. Meanwhile, the existing marine industry, which you're pushing out, workboats, logistic vessels, and fishing boats, contributes well over to $100 million annually right now. Not in a dream or a vision, yet you're ready to sacrifice that for a speculative luxury industry and pretty pictures. But this isn't just about the numbers. This deal is the latest in a long series of questionable decisions made behind closed doors of this council. You claim to have consulted iwi and the public, but by your own policies, iwi should have had first right of refusal once the precinct was downgraded to a non-strategic asset. From what we've been told, this hasn't happened, yet your document says it has, just like it says that we too were consulted. This is not an isolated incident. This is part of a decade-long pattern. I have spoken to 4 different mayors and 5 governance teams about transparency, and yet here we are, still fighting for it, still being told to look ahead and not look back. Yet each time we look forward, the past, it comes back to haunt us. The faces change, but the decisions stay the same. So I'm asking you, who is really making the calls? Who's pulling the strings? What is driving this deal? Take a look at paragraph 91 of your agenda. It suggests that this sale is just a quick way to fund shortfalls in other projects, like Te Manawataki o Te Papa. There is a $26.3 million debt tied to the Marine Precinct, and instead of repaying that debt, the money from this sale is being funneled into other capital projects. I don't have time to go into the details, but I encourage the public, the media, and central government to review this and ask the hard questions. Is this really in the best interest of Tauranga's future? I argue absolutely not. I know firsthand how this affects real people. My husband's family ran a longline fishing vessel. We weren't just fishermen. We were ambassadors of sustainable fishing, bringing world-renowned Michelin star chefs to Tauranga. Until this council sold the Marine Precinct in another shady deal, gutting our industry. When I hear this council frame this issue as super yachts versus fishing, it's not just wrong, it's offensive. This isn't about small, dirty boats. It's about families like mine who spend months at sea to bring fresh fish to Kiwi tables. It's about marine survey boats, charity vessels, logistics ships, engineering that all contribute year-round to Tauranga's economy in ways that the superyacht industry never will. Today, I'm calling for an independent investigation into the sale of the Marine Precinct and all the other deals that sound similar and don't add up and don't make sense. This investigation should not be one behind closed doors, but one with the scope defined by the residents of Tauranga. The public deserves to know how this deal and other deals like it was signed off without proper consultation, and why we're being sold out to fund someone else's dream while we're left trying to put food on our tables. Councillors, you have an opportunity today. Commit to us that if nothing is built for the marine industry in the next 2.5 years, since you have sold the only place we all call home, you will guarantee the facilities promised in 2018 by former Mayor Gary Poole to an email to the Honorary Shane Jones, which I have right here to hand out to you, where he made it clear, and I quote, "The Marine Precinct was meant to support local fishing and the marine industries," end quote. It's time for accountability. It's time to stop rubber stamping decisions and start asking the hard questions. And it's time for the people of Tauranga to take control of their future. Because when all of this is said and done, the value of this city is not measured in dollars or luxury yachts. It's measured in the families who live here, the businesses that call this place home, and the trust that we place in our leaders to protect our future. Thank you, and I'll pass it over to Mark.
E tautoko ana ngā mihi ki te rongarawa. E mihi au ki a koutou o te tepu o Tauranga Council, tēnā koutou katoa. Mea, tēnā koe. My name's Mark Ngata, I'm the General Manager of Moana New Zealand. We are the largest seafood business in New Zealand, and we have operated out of Tauranga Port for more than 30 years. With our partners, with our fishers, we have invested in this region, and I'm here today to put our support behind the others that are questioning this particular decision that's been made. We find it unconscionable that we can put all this investment into this particular area over 30 years, and that's just us. That's not the other commercial operators that are operating out of here. And then have it with a pen, we're gone. Haere atu. See you later. We find that unconscionable, and we're not here to accept that, and we will work with our shareholders to do what needs to be done. Moana New Zealand is 100% iwi owned by all 58 iwi, and in this context that includes the iwi within the Tauranga Moana area, and I acknowledge them who are here today. Kaumātua Puhiraki Ihaka from Ngaitarangi, and Rawaniata from Ngāti Ranginui. You know, our returns that we get from fish that comes in here goes back to our shareholders in the form of dividends. Our shareholders use those dividends to develop their own iwi, their own businesses, their education, their health systems, and they rely on us to do that. The fisheries settlement was part of helping iwi to get into these businesses after being out of them for over 100 years. So Moana New Zealand has made a commitment to Tauranga. Every year we put in over 8 million ourselves into this particular region. The fish that comes out of this region returns revenues of around 21 million, and it's exported globally. So this is our second biggest port that we land fish into. So it's an extremely important place for us. And to be told with the stroke of a pen that, here's the new plan, you're not even part of it, we find unconscionable. Really unconscionable. We've invested in this region with our shareholders. We have a business called Baypackers that is owned by those iwi, and we support that business, and it provides local employment and product to the regional community. So, our shareholders, and we will take their lead, we'll do what needs to be done to support the calls for you guys just to take a breath, to step back, and in fact follow your own values. If I look at your website, your values are all about whaia te tika, do the right thing, right?
Yeah.
It's about inclusivity, working together to get the best result. That's your own website. So in this case, I understand you're new councillors, and I tautoko you for taking on that challenge. I think you're probably realizing what a challenge that can be, but this is where we are. So I urge you just to take a breath and let's sit down and talk about this and see how we can move forward as a group, as a collective group, for the betterment of this community here in Tauranga. Because we're not going away. You've taken away our location, so you've displaced us as a sector. So where are you going to put us? That's your job. That's not our job. You've displaced us. And hopefully you're not going to follow some dumb person's drawings that I've seen, where you're going to put us down by Bobby Palmer's. Because our boats can't fit under the bridge. So, you know, that's the sort of, is that the sign of professionalism we're kind of dealing with here? Let's just take a breath, step back and have a kōrero together. We'll find the solution and it'll be a win-win for everybody. I understand you don't want to dredge up the previous regime and kei te pai, but we at least need to acknowledge it, right?
Yep.
And I'm sorry, but there's cracks appearing, and if we don't deal with this together, we're all going to fall in it. So again, I urge you just to take a breath, step back, and let's work on this together through the precinct working committee and iwi that should be involved, that haven't been involved, and we'll work this out because we're not going anywhere. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora, Erica and Mark. It's yeah, thank you very much for sharing. I think I can give you my word that we've already been in touch with Erica, and we are committed to working with you both and everyone else to find solutions. You know, this is something that we have also inherited, and you know, it is what it is, and you know, we have to find a solution you know, that works for everyone. So I'll give you my word on that. Have we got any questions from the elected members for Mark or Erica?
Or for anyone that's here, because they are here.
Councillor Crowther?
Yeah, thank you very much for your input. I'm interested in, we've been advised, council consulted with Mana Whenua, and it lists Ngāti Tapu, Ngāti Pukenga, a number of iwi hapu trusts. I'm trying to understand what the nature of that, of our staff, what the nature of that consultation was. It's a hugely significant part of the Māori economy. I'm hearing really different things when I'm out in the community, and when I'm in this building I hear that there was consultation, we followed the due process. Can you please, if anyone's in the room who has any insights into that, I don't know, Puaraki, if you want to comment, others who were there, who weren't there, because this is a really crucial issue, and I just find it very difficult to align the different comments that I've heard.
Yeah, okay. I shall. Use this one.
Oh, come sit here.
E tua tahi e shau. E tua kenai e rungi te kaikapu o te rā. Nō reira, ke tunu ia te kia kaitara, a me mo te kaunihira. Me ngā Ngā iwi katoa i te roto i tēnei ruma, i rui tēnei kamaruna. Nō reira, tēnā koe Ngāti Porou, Hautapu, tēnā koe hoki. Kia koutou rā, ngā katoa, hoki moa, o tauranga. Nō reiri e no honai. This has been a korero issue, which has been around for a wee while in terms of discussions on how it can be managed. And I'm speaking from my point of view and some of the conversations and meetings that I had with the previous council or commission and leading up to today. Obviously, in particular, I sit here with my potai, with my hat as the chair of the Otamataha Trust, who represents the two hapu of Ngāti Tapu and Ngāti Marawa, who are mana whenua in this way. Yes, those scenarios have been put to us. The discussion centred around where the location was going to be. I had a look through the agenda last night myself. I had been away for a few days and found that it was on the agenda for this special extraordinary meeting being called. And to be honest, there wasn't a lot of dialogue or information in the paragraph relating to mana whenua consultation that I could see. But in terms of and remembering that this is, I'm speaking off the cuff, so to speak, without having time to prepare any presentation to this. So I am careful in how I recall things. So please take it in that vein. If it requires further follow-up from any further consultation between mana whenua and this council, I urge that we do that in terms of the comments that have been spoken by the presenters and by yourself, Nehemiah, in terms of how you have expressed your desire to continue working with mana whenua and other iwi in general. So, going back to the take that we talked about, the main issue that was brought up at the time was exactly as Mark Nutter raised, and sorry I've forgotten the name, Erica, about what about us, where do we go? That was discussed at the previous meetings, and I do recall us saying to the commissioners, so what about them? What's going to happen? Given that some of their boats, fishing boats, will not go fit under the bridge. I don't think that was resolved totally, if at all, and so perhaps we should further carry on in that vein, Mahe, in terms of further discussions and consultation around that particular point. The one about moving down to Bobby's Fish Shop was, yeah, it was said in a bit of humour, I think. There would be room along that strip, given that there is going to be a certain amount of changes down there at some stage. told us about that one, and that in terms of the fishing vessels that could come in there would be suitable in terms of offering an alternative, which can be again further talked about to get a conclusion to that one. But I feel that the one regarding the larger fishing vessels, which obviously catches a lot more fish and contributes a lot more revenue and a lot more money. And so as a person who currently also works in the commercial fishing for my iwi, for my tarangi, I also ask that question in all seriousness, because we as an iwi, my tarangi, and I know the other iwi are the same. You've heard there are 58 iwi that totally are the shareholders for Moana, and a lot of our income from fisheries comes via them. And so this is a serious matter, and I think that there should be a continuance of some further work to be done. Kia ora tātou. E pātai? Any questions?
I'm keen to understand how many boats are currently housed at Bridge Marina, Bridge Wharf, whatever it's called.
We have around 10 boats that work in and out of Tauranga. They're all 25 metres and longer. So, that's about the best place for them to be. Obviously they can't go under the bridge. And obviously the Sanford area is privately owned, and they've got their own boats there. So there's really no other place along there for those types of boats to come in and unload, service, do what they need to do.
Sorry, just from a mooring point of view, do you know how many actually uses that bridge wharf? Or
Well, that's just our company, right?
is it?
So other commercial Lee Fish have boats working in here. Some of those fishermen are here today as well. Baypackers, Palco, they all have boats working as well. So,
But actually, sorry, just so the bridge wharf is obviously potentially not going to be available. So how many boats does that specifically displace?
17 small boats.
Yeah.
And
Or not 17 on bridge wharf.
at times there is May, yeah. And then when the seasons change for like tuna fishing, you could have another 10 boats come in during that time. Because these boats come from all over New Zealand into here. So you got that, and plus you got work boats in there. You got 1, 2, 3 work boats. So that's certainly 20, 21 boats that I know that use it. There's 5 boats that come from Whakatane at times and use up here. You got to remember all these boats use that slipway as well. They come out of the water here, most of these boats. They generate a lot of money into this town.
And a supplementary to that is how many boats are currently down at Fisherman's Wharf?
I would suggest that since you guys run Vessel Works, that you have that data, and therefore you should be pulling it instead of asking us.
Go, Erica.
Respectfully.
We'll do that, that's fine.
Yeah.
And
There's 9 there at the moment, mate.
yeah. And like what we have currently, is that adequate?
No.
So on the deck,
Can you cut?
yeah, okay. Yep. So I'm Sean Kelly's my name, and on the deck I have spent a whole bunch of time on this whole thing since 2006. I came here at 19 years old and parked my first fishing boat at that wharf, at the Bridge Wharf, in 1995, and I've been self-employed in the jungle ever since. Okay. Now, we in the history of my using this harbour since we've systematically had our wharves removed. Basically, they've fallen into states of disrepair. The flash consultants that are employed have come along and condemned the wharves and said they've cost too much to fix or whatever, and they've been removed, such as Coronation Pier, such as the current Moana Wharf, the state that's left in, with only a 4 metre strip that can conceivably use to unload some fishing boats, okay? To give you an idea, at the height of the tuna longline heydays, I counted 154 boats in here one day. Okay, that was in 1998, thereabouts. Okay, so in answer to the question about the amount of users, etc., etc., the point is that it is the expense for us to do business in town is already greater, far greater than other places. I drew those drawings, such as the one at the Fisherman's Wharf, and I gave them to Dave. And the reason I went my time, my trouble, my money to produce those drawings, as well as a whole raft of other things that I've done since 2006, when I began lobbying for the Marine Precinct to be built, that drawing has been used since I drew it and twisted to say, oh, here, the fishermen are happy to go to Fisherman's Wharf. That's a load of bullshit. That is not what I said. I said we need a whole bunch more wharves, and here you can put all the little guys down here, and we can make our CBD and our waterfront look like Napier, look like Hobart, look like Tasmania, look like Venice.
No, I bro.
Right? That's what I did, and that's why I produced that drawing. And that's only a small part of work that myself and others have continually come to these council meetings for all of these years to get one last crumb of what we needed, of what we were told was available to us, and that was the Marine Precinct that we're talking about. Okay? And now, right, it's been sold. Okay? And I've got some documents for the councillors here, and I'm going to hand them round prior to the end of this meeting. Okay? But so since 1995, the loss of our facilities, etc., that I've watched, the harbour bridge that caused us to lose more facilities, the loss of Coronation Pier, which was a failed public-private partnership, by the way, which the TCC is still paying for in terms of that barge that's sitting on their wharf that's taking up our space, right? So it's just gone on and on and on, all the lobbying, all the meetings that we've been to over the years, all the time and money, all the extra costs of doing business here, and now we end up being displaced without consultation, in my opinion, and a whole bunch of other things, and a pipe dream being sold, right, particularly by Priority One, I think, of the super yacht dream of this place. Well, I can tell you lot, I've owned 2 super yachts, and I've certainly been involved in the service and management of many more, right, and I know what's propped up this place, and it's since it began in 2016, and it is not super yachts. It's the local industry. We've got one over here who spends $8 million a year on his boats, right? We haven't had one super yacht come here and spend $8 million, right? The revenue from our businesses, which more or less are getting treated like a joke, right, is well in excess of $100 million. We're all here, well in excess of that. All the tax, all the rates we pay, etc., etc. We're all here, all our families that we have to provide for. What I want from this council, and I say this very seriously, is to grow some teeth, right? And stop the sale. Don't stand here and tell me that you can't do it. That's utter bullshit. And in fact, I've got a list of questions for you here, because I am personally, right, funding an application to the High Court to injunct the sale, because I think there's still time, on the basis that it is my opinion and the opinion of many in this room that it's an unconscionable sale. And I've included copies of things from your own website, such as your property acquisitions and disposals policy, which I think has been breached, and also your consultation document that's on your website, which I don't know what sort of consultation you guys think you did, but everybody in this room that's not part of the TCC, former councillors, local businesses, iwi, everybody thinks you didn't consult properly. All right? So here's my information pack for all you guys. I've given you 7 days to answer some very simple questions, and whether or not you answer them doesn't matter to me, because I'm going to still apply for this injunction at my cost and my expense with my kids' inheritance.
Thank you.
And can I just say, we're only asking for what we were promised. We're not asking for more. We're asking for what the Marine Precinct was designed to be, and we're asking for you to finally deliver it.
Mate, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
My name's Wayne Cusabs.
Wayne, can you come up to that mic? Sorry to bug you about it, but it means if anyone who's watching online can end up hearing you.
Yeah, my name's Wayne Cusabs. I had my first fishing boat here in 1972. That's 50 years ago. I'm 73 years old, and as everyone else here says, we're getting thrown out the door. My question is, we know this deal was done through the commissioners and Tolly. Waste of space. That's all. A complete waste of space. But I want to know, are you the chief of the council, are you?
Yep.
Your name is?
Marty Green.
Oh. You know all about this deal. How can you tell me and everyone else in this room how someone walked off the street and offered 13.4 million for that precinct?
I would have paid that.
Walked off the street. He's paying it off in 6 years. He's not paid anything for it. He pays a payment when he takes it over soon, another payment in 3 years, and another payment in another 3 years, is what I've been told. Is that true?
Well,
Commercial
we can,
No, is it true or not?
we can ask questions in the
Yeah,
public
yeah,
forum.
yeah. So that's what I've been told. That joker made $50 million in one night on that sale of that place, because that's what that place is worth as it is there now. 50 million. There's a consortium of us here. I would have jumped at that. I could have got 4 or 5 other people here. We would have brought that overnight.
Yeah.
And we would have put it into a co-op for the fishing people of this town.
Yeah,
That's all I've got to say.
No, thank you. Appreciate that. Have we got any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for your time, and as I'll reiterate that we look forward to working together in the future to find a solution. So thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks, Mark.
So that concludes the public